Driven by curiosity and a desire to fulfill my dream of going to Afghanistan, a goal that was unrealized while in the Air Force, I traveled there with a college friend. In a surprisingly easy process, we applied for visas and purchased tickets on kayak.com. While in country, I submitted comments to BBC Radio following a car bomb attack. That interview, along with photos I took, follows.
Security forces are not up to the task of policing the country against attacks of this nature. Anda Greeny, who's travelling through Kabul, heard the explosions this morning. Anda, good morning. Good afternoon, I should say.
Hi, good afternoon, Sheila.
Hi, what did you see and what did you hear?
Well, the hotel that my friend and I were staying at is located about a mile and a half from where the attack happened this morning. Now, I'm a heavy sleeper. I did sleep through the initial explosion, though I did receive an email from the U.S. Embassy on my mobile phone warning of the attack and warning American citizens not to go out on the street unless it was necessary business.
And what are you doing there?
I wanted to see on the ground the pointy end of American foreign policy, and I just been traveling with a friend and I in college. We decided to come here just to see what was happening on the ground, and been here for 2 weeks now, and been meeting a lot of Afghans and eating the food and just learning as much as we can.
And what's your sense of how secure buildings like this are?
Well, there's certainly a great deal of security precautions. We walk through neighborhoods and we see concertina wire on top of walls. You can't walk half a block without seeing a couple police. And we were on a walk just the other day rather, and we took a left turn thinking we could just take the next right-hand turn, and instead we got stuck after compound after compound, all in a row. We couldn't take a right turn for about a mile. So the security here is very tight. So obviously that's in response to a threat of attack.
And it's interesting to hear you say that you and your friend wanted to see what you describe as the pointy end of American foreign policy. I doubt there are many young Americans doing that, are there?
In our time in Kabul, we've been here for 2 weeks, and we've only seen a couple Westerners on the street that entire time. So largely all the Westerners, they're met them behind their walls, and that's very rare, as I know, just to see people, to see them on the street. I was out to dinner a couple nights ago, and some Afghans invited us to join them for iftar, the breaking of the fast for Ramadan. And they mentioned that the restaurant we were at, they used to see a lot of Westerners there in 2004, 2005, but since then it was incredibly rare to see anyone of Western descent on the street enjoying a meal.
What else did they say to you about, the nature of life in Kabul and Afghanistan, given the nearly 10 years now that the coalition forces have been there?
Sure. Well, they note that there is a low risk of a terrorist attack, but really it's quite random, and the Afghans, they largely go about their day, go about their life, and when a attack occurs, it's tragic, but it's generally just so random in nature. Unless it's a high-level government official, there's not much the individual can do. So my friend and I were largely just doing the same thing as these random Afghans, which is just going around, eating, sightseeing, and avoiding large demonstrations or groups of people where possible, or other Westerners, but really just living our life, doing our traveling.
Have you been greeted with suspicion in any way, or or does it feel like a pretty normal welcome?
The welcome was great. No suspicion at all. The Afghans that we talked to, they're always very happy to speak with us, and I've shown them pictures on my mobile phone of America. They're very excited to see those, and very friendly people in general, willing to talk to anyone, share a meal, share some tea.
And how are you feeling now about the pointy end of American foreign policy? How do you see it?
Well, we was a little surprised as to see how little Western presence we saw on the street. A week ago, we met English-speaking Afghans right here in Kabul as we were hiking up the Al-Hisar Wall, and they mentioned to us that they had never spoken to a English speaker in their entire life, and that, or rather an English speaker in Afghanistan, and that's 150,000 English speakers here. So I was very surprised as to how much separation there is between Western and American efforts here and the general Afghan population. So
but then the reality is, Ander, that from the point of view, of those who object very strongly to the presence of the Americans and the other ISAF forces there, you and any other Westerner are a soft target, aren't you?
We are a soft target, and that is reason for concern. We're definitely being careful where we stay. We alter our routes during the day, but really there's a low risk, and I'm undertaking that. But I'm also a bit of a cultural and just goodwill ambassador from the U.S. and meeting the Afghans. They see, here's an American. They're nice people, and maybe there's not as much to fear about them as we can. So there's a trade-off I make to have that impact here versus my personal security.
And how long will you stay?
We're in the country for another 2.5 weeks.
Well, perhaps we'll speak again, Andrew. It's been really interesting talking to you. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And Greenie, who's travelling through Kabul at the moment. He and a friend took it upon themselves to do so, just out of interest, and he heard those explosions this morning. We hope to speak to somebody who was an eyewitness as well, Times correspondent in Afghanistan, Jerome Starkey. Even when we get him on the line, we will bring him to you. It's 14 minutes past 1. Let's get the trowel in the meantime.
Goodbye, my friend. You are goodbye, my friend.